Okay, we're going to have a look at the poem A Married State, and we're going to look at how to write about it for the controls assessment in English literature. So read the first poem first of all, before we start having a look at actually what it means and the kind of things you can say about it. So a married state affords but little ease, the best of husbands are so hard to please. This in wives' careful faces you may spell, though they dissemble their misfortunes well. A virgin state is crowned with much content, is always happy as it's innocent. No blustering husbands to create your fears, no pangs of childbirth to extort your tears, no children's cries for to offend your ears, few worldly crosses to distract your prayers. Thus are you freed from all the cares that do attend on matrimony and a husband too. Therefore, madam, be advised by me, turn apostate to love's levity, suppress wild nature if she dare rebel. There's no such thing as leading apes in hell. So that's the poem. Now, some of the things you can say about the poem, really, I think the general point is that she thinks marriage is a bad thing, and it was quite controversial from when the poem would have been written that a woman would stand up and say that marriage is wrong and you shouldn't get married. And these are some of the things you'd need to highlight in your assessment and some of the comments that you'd need to make on it. So very basically saying that marriage is bad, it affords little ease, you don't get any peace with it. Even if there was a good husband, you found a good man, or the woman found a good man, it's still a pain. Okay, so even the best of husbands are awkward, according to the poet. And women at the time would have to sort of pretend that everything was all right, even though they knew that marriages might not be, because they could have been treated badly. And it was up to the man however he wanted to treat his wife in those days. He was the boss, but they would have to pretend that everything was all right. So they'd have to have sort of careful faces, and they wouldn't be able to see that they were being wronged. Okay. She also thinks that it's better to stay unmarried. You're better off sort of remaining a virgin, and it's innocent that way, and you're going to be much more content. Because there aren't any husbands, no blustering husbands or foolish husbands to create your fears. You wouldn't have to go through the pain of childbirth. Women were expected to have children. That was their duty to give children to their husbands. And once the children were there, then they have to put up with the crying children because the husband wouldn't be there during the day. So it was up to the woman; she'd have to put up with the children's cries. So the poet's saying, you don't get married, you don't have to put up with any of this. Religion also plays a big part, and the poet says that there'll be few worldly crosses to distract your prayers. So if you don't get married, you won't be distracted from your sort of religious duty. She gives advice then further down the poem, basically to women, not to get married. Okay, don't get married. Don't give in to temptation. Suppress wild nature if she dare rebel. And then you've got this very unusual line at the end, there's no such thing as leading apes in hell. So it was believed by some people at that time that if a woman remained unmarried, she would go to hell and she'd have to lead apes around. The ape could be, I think probably sort of a man who's an uncouth man, but it was believed that that's what happened, and it's just there. It's made up, isn't it, for men to try to get women to marry them, essentially. So in the poet, she's saying that won't happen. You won't be punished. Okay, you're not going to go to hell for staying unmarried. Next slide, we're just going to have a quick look at the rhyme scheme. Some things you need to talk about. It's got quite a strict rhyme scheme. Okay, you can see each word ending with rhyming with the previous one. Ease, please, spell, well, content, innocent. So it goes on throughout the poem. So it's quite strict, and it's not free at all. And it suggests that during the one stanza and the 16 lines, that it's a tough and rigid structure, suggesting that the poet thinks that about marriage. Marriage it constrains people, constrains women. It's not good for them. It's very tough. It's got very sort of strict rules to it, and the rhyme scheme complies with that. Okay, so that's a very quick run through the poem and the kind of things that you need to be talking about and writing about in your controlled assessment for a married state.